John Dutton's death in Season 5 has stirred up more than just grief. It has sparked a wild ride for Jamie Dutton. Once the family's black sheep, he's now standing at a crossroads of redemption and ruin. Can he reclaim his place, or is it too late? With that being said, let's see if Jamie can really pull off a redemption arc in the Season 5 finale. Season 5, Episode 11, Dutton Drama Hits New Heights. The episode, titled 353, marks a huge turning point for the Dutton clan, especially for Jamie Dutton. His entire storyline has been a roller coaster of betrayal, bitterness, and, let's be real, a ton of personal drama. But with John Dutton's death shaking up the entire family dynamic, everything is about to get a whole lot messier. Once the Dutton family's black sheep, Jamie's relationship with his adoptive father, John, was anything but easy. The guy spent years stewing over the fact that he wasn't a biological Dutton and dealing with his own political aspirations, all while betraying the family left and right. Not exactly father-son goals. But now, with John's death throwing the Duttons into chaos, Jamie is getting dragged back into the mess he helped create. And surprise, it's not entirely by his choice. You see, the investigation into John's death is forcing Jamie to stare down his past mistakes and whether he can claw his way back into the Dutton fold. But just when you think he's the mastermind behind it all, the truth about John's death comes crashing in, and suddenly, Jamie's role in this family drama isn't as clear-cut as it seems. Jamie isn't the real villain of Season 5. The premiere kicks off with a shocking revelation. John's Dutton death is staged as a suicide. This leads to pure and utter chaos, because the Dutton family is thrown into disarray, and things are about to get very complicated. Beth Dutton, ever the skeptic, walks into the governor's mansion and immediately senses that something doesn't add up. The crime scene is tense, but she's not buying the whole suicide narrative. As the family begins to mourn, Casey and Beth both struggle to process the unexpected loss of their father. But Beth's instincts prove right. John's death wasn't self-inflicted. It was orchestrated. And that's where the mystery starts to unfold. Now, while Jamie's complicated relationship with John makes him an obvious suspect, the premiere complicates things a bit. In a heartbreaking moment, Montana's Attorney General, aka Jamie, delivers the news of John's death to the public, and you can see the genuine grief on his face. His faltering demeanor suggests that maybe, just maybe, Jamie isn't the villain we thought he was. Now, Jamie Dutton's actions in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1 definitely raised some suspicion. After all, attempting to impeach his own father as governor is no small move. However, his reaction to John's death in the premiere adds complexity to the situation. While Jamie might not be directly responsible for his father's death, his political maneuvering and strained relationship with John seems to have set the stage for what followed. The episode suggests that Jamie could have unwittingly become a pawn in a larger conspiracy against John Dutton. Sarah is the real villain of Yellowstone Season 5. When Yellowstone Season 5 introduced Sarah Atwood, played by Dawn Olivieri, it was clear that the Dutton family was about to face a whole new kind of threat. As a skilled litigator and the perfect Trojan horse for market equities, Sarah brought a sharper, more calculated edge to the show's ongoing power struggles. Gone were the days of just legal wrangling and corporate tactics. Sarah was here to dismantle the Duttons from within. Her most chilling move came midway through the season when she secretly met with a shadowy organization known for its work in orchestrating assassinations. The meeting was tense, with Sarah stripping off all her jewelry, shoes, and accessories to make sure nothing could be used against her. It was a clear sign that she wasn't just there for a casual conversation. This was serious business. The stakes? Nothing less than John Dutton, the governor of Montana, who stood as the final barrier to market equity's grand expansion plans. Flashbacks to 6 weeks earlier showed just how carefully Sarah had planned each step of her dangerous game. She wasn't rushing into anything. Every move was deliberate, and her resolve to take down John Dutton made it clear that she would stop at nothing to get what she wanted. If Sarah Atwood's plan for taking down the Duttons wasn't already ruthless enough, she had a secret weapon up her sleeve: Jamie. Jamie's insecurities and long-standing issues with his father made him an easy target for Sarah, who wasted no time exploiting his desire for recognition and his simmering resentment towards John. Sarah didn't just play on Jamie's weaknesses, she seduced him, both politically and personally. Weaving a web of promises, she convinced Jamie that together they could overthrow his father father and place him in the governor's seat. She fed Jamie's hunger for power and revenge, playing on his desperate need for autonomy and the recognition he felt he deserved but never received from John. Under Sarah's influence, Jamie began to see the removal of his father not as an option, but as a necessity, one he was willing to carry out by any means necessary. Sarah Atwood's manipulation of Jamie Dutton wasn't just about personal vendettas, it was about the high stakes of Market Equity's financial future. With John Dutton cutting funding for key projects like the airport, Sarah's role in neutralizing the Duttons became crucial. With billions of dollars on the line, Market Equities wasn't content with just playing the corporate game. They wanted John out, and Sarah was their secret weapon to escalate things from legal maneuvers to all-out life or death stakes. Her relationship with Jamie wasn't just a romantic entanglement, it was a strategic play that tore apart the Dutton family's unity. By turning Jamie into a willing accomplice, Sarah made the family more vulnerable to outside threats, creating a rift that ran deep and widened the divide between father and son. But it wasn't just Jamie who became a pawn in Sarah's game. She found herself at odds with Beth Dutton. If there's one thing you don't do on Yellowstone, it's mess with Beth. The power struggle between Sarah and Beth only ramped up the tension as the two women clashed in an epic battle of wills. Sarah's cool, calculated corporate demeanor was a stark contrast to Beth's fiery, chaotic approach, one built on a deep loyalty to her family and an unrelenting desire to protect them. The two were like oil and water, each using every weapon in their arsenal to outmaneuver the other. This clash wasn't just personal. It symbolized the broader war between the Duttons and Market Equities. One side is playing with emotion, the other with cold, hard strategy. However, just when it felt like the plan to overthrow the Duttons was nearing completion, something unexpected happened. Sarah's death in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11 means Jamie is truly alone. In Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, Taylor Sheridan delivers a gut-wrenching surprise that leaves fans reeling, one that shakes the Dutton family's already fragile world even further. While the shocking death of John Dutton might have seemed like the biggest game-changer, the loss of Sarah Atwood takes things to a whole new emotional level, especially with the unexpected bond she had formed with Jamie. Jamie and Sarah's relationship had always been a complicated one, full of tension and power plays. But over time, Sarah became one of the few people Jamie could turn to for support. She wasn't just another manipulative ally. She had evolved into a real confidant. Sarah, despite her own troubled past and the fractured nature of her connection with Jamie, offered him something rare, genuine care and understanding, something Jamie had been desperately seeking in his strained relationship with the Duttons. For Jamie, Sarah represented more than just a political ally. She was a lifeline, a person who saw him for who he truly was, beyond the role he played in his father's shadow. However, in Season 5, Episode 11, Jamie Dutton's world is torn apart in a way that no one could have predicted. His tumultuous relationship with Sarah Atwood reaches its boiling point when an argument escalates into a physical confrontation. The tension between them had been building for some time, but this explosive moment finally pushed Sarah to storm out of Jamie's house. In the heat of the moment, it seemed like all hope for their complicated connection was lost until Jamie, desperate for resolution, reached out to reconcile. For a fleeting moment, it appeared they might clear the air, a brief but tender patch on the cracks in their relationship. But just as things seemed to calm, tragedy struck. Unbeknownst to them, Sarah's life had already been marked for death. One night, after leaving Jamie's house, she was waiting at a stop sign when a lost couple stopped to ask her for directions. Before Sarah could even register what was happening, the couple opened fire, unaliving her, and then quickly fled the scene. The worst part was that she was on the phone with Jamie when it happened. The loss was a gut punch for Jamie, who had already been navigating a sea of uncertainty and isolation. Throughout his life, his relationship with his father, John Dutton, had always been strained, no matter how hard Jamie tried to gain his approval. Despite his political ambitions and the efforts he put into carving out a space for himself within the family, John's approval remained just beyond his reach. But Sarah, she had become Jamie's constant, the one person who truly had his back, offering him support both professionally and personally. Her sudden, violent death ripped that stability away from Jamie, leaving him not only emotionally shattered, utterly alone. It pushed him further into a dark, uncertain future where his place in the world felt more unclear than ever. Now, couple that with the potential ramifications of being the last person to talk to Sarah before she is murdered, and he may not have any chance but to finally make things right. He could help his siblings secure the ranch. The Duttons may know how to protect their ranch, but they can't seem to protect themselves from each other. Nowhere is this more evident than in the deeply fractured relationship between Jamie and Beth, a sibling rivalry that takes center stage in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2. Beth's animosity toward Jamie is rooted in years of resentment and betrayal. For her, it's not just about his role in their father John's impeachment. It's about the countless ways he's undermined the family's legacy, and by extension, her trust. Jamie wasn't just raised as her brother. He was someone she expected to stand with the Duttons. Instead, he chose alliances that sought to dismantle everything their family worked for, and Beth sees this as the ultimate personal betrayal. Beth isn't one to mince words, and her anger towards Jamie is unrelenting. Every conversation between them brims with tension, her disdain cutting through like a knife. She holds nothing back, and Jamie, despite his efforts, seems incapable of mending the damage. His apologies feel half-hearted, his actions a constant reminder of past mistakes. The feud between Beth and Jamie has always gone beyond politics or land disputes. It's a deeply personal struggle that cuts to the heart of their family. Now, Beth Dutton might be the loudest voice in Jamie's life, calling out his betrayals, but she's far from the only one giving him the cold shoulder. Jamie's relationship with Casey, while not as explosive, is just as strained. Only this time, the silence cuts just as deep as Beth's scorn. Casey, ever the stoic and reserved Dutton sibling, has tried to stay above the fray when it comes to the family's internal squabbles, but Jamie's actions haven't exactly made that easy. From his betrayal of John to his questionable alliances, Jamie has tested Casey's trust again and again. And while Casey is known for being the peacemaker, even he can't ignore the cracks Jamie has caused in the foundation of the Dutton legacy. Of course, Beth doesn't let Casey forget a thing. She's quick to remind him of every misstep Jamie's taken, making sure that any shred of trust Casey might still hold for their brother is met with doubt. For Casey, this puts him in an impossible position, torn between his instinct to hold the family together and the growing realization that Jamie's choices have caused irreparable damage. This creates a daunting challenge for Jamie. Winning back Beth is a tall order, but gaining Casey's trust might be even harder. You see, Casey's loyalty to the family runs deep, and he needs more than words to believe Jamie's on the right side of things. If Jamie hopes to repair these fractured relationships, he'll have to prove he's not just out for redemption, but that he's willing to fight for the family and the land that defines them all. Jamie Dutton may have burned countless bridges with his family, but his role as Montana's Attorney General might be the one thing keeping him in the game. With the Dutton Ranch under siege from developers who'd love nothing more than to take over their prized land, Jamie's political clout could be the key to fending off this looming threat. His legal expertise gives him a unique edge.